Okay, and while I'm on a little soapbox, I know in my latest video I talked about finding ways to cut and thinking about what things you need and you don't need. Let's talk about one thing that you absolutely can't cut out of the budget: insurance. Do not try to cut or skimp on your insurance to try to be able to afford to save, because insurance is there to protect you. It protects others too, but it really protects you. Now, I know that some of the young viewers are thinking, I don't need health insurance. I'm healthy. I'm not telling you that you need health insurance just because we all got high blood pressure. It may be true that a lot of us have high blood pressure. I'm happy for you if you don't. But you need insurance because you live in a environment where your body is imperfect, my body is imperfect, and if you don't leave the house, there's natural disasters that hit and injure people. If you leave the house, like 99.9% of us do, you probably are on a car or a bus, or you're walking, and you can get hit by one of those vehicles. You can fall while you're hiking. Things happen. And if you think it's not going to be you, it's going to be you one day, unfortunately. If children can be born and have cancer as children, surely Mr. or Mrs. or Miss 18, 21, 25-year old and up, things happen. And you don't want to be trying to decide between whether you should go to the doctor for something that you need and buying food. So, health insurance, you have to have it. Some places will not treat you, or you will get the bare minimum treatment if you don't have health insurance, because you are going, if you go into an ER, they're going to try to give you the minimal treatment to keep you alive and stable. They're not going to give you the Cadillac of treatment if you don't have health insurance. They will attempt to save your life, but you're not going to have a whole lot. Excuse me. The other piece of it is, okay, that's the other piece of it is it can bankrupt you. You're going to be paying that debt off for years if you don't have adequate health insurance for you and your family's needs. So imagine having a heart attack and you didn't have health insurance, or having a devastating accident and either you have no health insurance or it's another person's fault. A driver hits you and takes off and you will have no insurance. What do you do? Please get your health insurance. Whatever you need to do. Okay? Car insurance. Don't skimp on car insurance, because not only does it protect your vehicle if you have full coverage, and maybe, if your car is worth $500, more power to you if you don't get full coverage. The main thing is that if you have an accident and you hurt, or worse yet, kill somebody, you are going to be sued more than likely. And you need that insurance. We'll talk about additional insurance beyond the limits of your um, coverage, your umbrella cover, but excuse me, or if your auto insurance coverage. That was a spoiler alert that I accidentally said. But we need to have car insurance to protect us in the event that we have an accident, or even to protect us if somebody else hits us and runs. You have that uninsured maintenance coverage. So don't skimp on car insurance. I know some places, even in my area, they will allow you, if you buy the car in a particular state, you're not required to have insurance. That is a walking hazard waiting to happen. Okay. So far we got health, we got car, auto insurance. Next thing is homeowners and or renters insurance. Obviously, if you own your home, you do not want something catastrophic, a fire, a natural disaster, to take away your home. I mean, we're talking an investment of several $100,000 in most cases. But even as a renter, you need coverage. And I even had a very close friend of mine who had a catastrophic event happen in an apartment, and that renter's insurance was there to replace a lot of the things that were needed, as well as to put them up in a hotel, as well as to, um, provide assistance in locating another place. So, renter's insurance is very inexpensive. Look into it and just get it to cover you. Don't think it can't happen to you. Floods, fires, all kinds of stuff can happen even in an apartment. So don't think that, oh, just because I'm not a homeowner, I don't need it. You need something to make sure you got a place to live if something happens. Okay. Next one we want to talk about, life insurance. Life insurance you need if someone is depending on your income. So if something happened to you and your spouse, your partner, whoever would not be able to maintain their standard of living without you, get life insurance. You have a mortgage, get life insurance. You have kids, get life insurance. I'm not talking about the kids that are grown and out the house. I'm talking about the kids that depend on you. You need life insurance to be able to protect your family in the event of your untimely demise. We don't want it to happen, but if it does, we'll be ready. Term life insurance, though. You don't need whole life as an investment, all that. We will talk about retirement accounts. We'll talk about investments, things that you can make in order to have an investment component. But we're just talking about term life insurance for as long as you need it. If you're retired, you probably don't need term life insurance because you are no longer earning an income, so your assets are going to go to whoever you designate them to go to anyway. We are talking about people who depend on you being alive for their sustenance. Excuse me, my brain said, "Oh, I need to make this video and get this out and get this out," and I just keep sitting here yawning. I am that bored, but I am tired. I have not gotten up early in a while, and I set my alarm and got up early today, and so I'm just like, wow, I need caffeine, but it's after 4 o'clock where I live. Wow. So as soon as I drop this video, I'm going downstairs and I'm gonna get me a nice beverage. See, there I go again. I'm getting me a nice beverage and I'm gonna eat the food I cook. And now y'all can't come over for dinner. Because last night I was trying to get my husband to give me the rest of his plate because he couldn't finish his food. Eyes always bigger than his stomach. And he looked at me and said, "Oh, don't be looking at my plate." He said, "I'm wrapping this up." So I went and grabbed that. I said, "Oh, yeah, yeah." He's like, "Baby, don't eat my food. You look like you're going to eat." "No, baby, don't eat it." I said, "I'm not. I will wrap it up for you, okay?" He was like, "Yeah," because I was about to wrap it up. So anyway, I know that was a tangent. Y'all ain't hear about my dinner plans, but I just wanted to tell y'all I'm exhausted. All right. Back. So yeah, if nobody's depending on you for your income, you don't need life insurance anymore. So term for the time period that you need it. You don't need permanent. All right, here we go. Next one. Long-term disability. So that's another thing. If you were to get sick to the point of not being able to work anymore while you're still in your working years, long term disability will protect you in that it will pay you maybe 60% on average of what you would normally make. Um, Actually, in the federal, it's 40% after the first. There's like a whole formula. Um, but long term disability is designed to protect you until you're able to reach retirement age and access some of the benefits and services associated with that, as well as get access to your retirement accounts and all of that. So, you want to make sure that you are protected in the event that you can't work anymore and you need to access disability. You may not need short term disability if you have enough savings, you have enough health coverage, savings and sick leave, things like that. If you have enough of that, maybe you don't need short term. A long term, unless you're kind of independently wealthy and you could walk away from the workforce anytime you want, make sure that either you're covered by an employer sponsored long term disability plan, or that you have some type of plan so that if you can't work anymore and you're still too young to retire, you at least have some income coming in to be able to take care of you and your family. All right. Umbrella is another important one to consider, especially if you have assets. Now, if you flat broke, maybe umbrella's not what you want to do. But remember, I talked about the example of somebody suing you. If someone was to sue you, you spill coffee on them in the airport and they get injured, burns. You have a horrific car accident that's your fault. Um, Someone falls on your steps and is severely, just various things. You want to have an overarching policy that covers above and beyond the limits of your car insurance and your homeowner's insurance. So just make sure that you have enough coverage to cover your net worth. So if you're worth about $1 million, you want to have about $1 million. You're worth $2 million, $2 million, and you can go. And it's not very expensive at all because the goal is that you probably won't use it. But in the event that it happens, because we live in such a litigious society, people are ready to sue you over anything. And this umbrella insurance, they'll even hire attorneys to help, fight it and things like that, because um, they don't want you to lose the case because then they have to pay out. So keep that in mind, especially if you have high net worth. Think about long term care insurance or saving enough. My goal is to save enough to cover me, right? Because how long do people use long term care insurance? A short period of time, usually. They say average 3 years, could be a little longer, could be a little less. Um, but I want to have long term care where the person comes to my house, takes care of me, etc. And I want to have control over how that's done. So I'm going to basically self insure as part of my retirement planning and part of my long range investing. So I'm going to just make sure I'm saving an adequate amount of my income in order to have the funds to be able to do um, my own choices on long term care. If you don't think you'll be able to save enough, when you get maybe late 50s, early 60s or so, start looking into the cost of a plan. And don't let them talk you into whole life insurance while you're at it. Just find out about long term care insurance. You don't need whole life. If they're trying to talk you into the whole life component, what you should do, like I said, instead, okay. So I didn't realize, you do a little thumbs up, they give you a thumbs up on the video. So I have to figure out all the features. I think, because some of you know I do ASL interpreting. And you're very expressive. I've done some of my videos in ASL, thus far, all of the videos in ASL, after I do the ones in English. But I would be interpreting and I will all of a sudden do something and it'll just make fireworks or flashes. And if you know anything about ASL interpreting, you kind of want to be incognito, just interpreting and not bring attention to yourself. And so, in the middle of a meeting, when you start setting off fireworks, be glad that if the deaf consumer is patient and understanding, that you were not trying to set fireworks to bring light to yourself. um, Sorry, that little thumbs up that came in the middle of the video kind of distracted me. But yeah, just make sure that you have a plan for long-term care as far as how you're going to care for yourself and your spouse and or even your aging parents as they get older. Are there funds available? Is there insurance available to be able to pay someone to come and provide in-home care or nursing home care? Because if you have some assets, that's where you're kind of in the place where Medicare is not going to cover it until you spend down all of your assets to nothing, pretty much. I mean, the limit was like maybe $2,000 for a couple that you could have and still access Medicaid. Medicare is a different program. It's the health insurance component that you will be eligible for at the age of 65. As long as you have enough credits. We can go into that another time. But if you are 65 and over watching this video, feel free to let me know because I can make content geared toward retirees. But I think a lot of my audience is probably on the younger side and still in their wealth building journey instead of at the end of the journey when you're enjoying all the money that you have built up. All right, so the key is just to kind of think about all of these various insurances not as a money waster, but as a way to protect yourself. You protect yourself from catastrophic events that could derail you financially. You could be paying on stuff for years. You could lose a home. You could lose, your car, your wealth that you've built up. So, don't skimp on insurance. Make sure you're covered in all the areas you need to be. This is not to say that every coverage is needed for every person. Maybe you don't need disability insurance because you are already in a great spot. You're a year from retirement and you will be fine if something were to happen to you and you had to leave early, right? Maybe you don't need long-term care insurance because you have about $0. So if you ever needed long-term care, at least Medicaid would kick in and put you in that nursing home, or you have family support or what have you. Or you just know you're saving enough. This is what I'm doing. Saving enough so that you can just pull from your assets and pay for it yourself. And then you don't have to fill out paperwork and try to prove to somebody that you need to access your long-term care insurance. You could just, put the money toward what you need. That's another thing because you have to not be able to do 2 out of 6 activities of daily living, the toileting, feeding, bathing type of things. And what if I can do 5 out of 6? Now I can't use my long-term care insurance, but I still need help. So anyway, there are limitations to insurance in general, but just make sure you know the fine print and make sure you get the ones that you need, because the worst thing to do is to say, oh, I don't need it, and then you do need it. Okay. If you don't use any of these insurances, that means you had a long and beautiful life. So don't worry. It's not waste. It is protecting yourself, right? Just like anything we have. We do things to protect our health. We go for physicals. We might go for the physical. The doctor says you're in great shape. You're in great shape. Are we mad that we spent the money on the physical? No. We're glad that we're in great shape. So if you don't use it, be glad. Nothing bad happened to you. I guarantee you, anytime you have to access most of your insurance coverages, you're having a bad day. All right. So, Black people and everybody, because hopefully we got some non-Black people, people of color, white people, whoever, accessing this video. But everybody, don't skimp on the insurance. All right. Have a good one. I'm going to get my food.